So here's a disclaimer before we start the episode. Erica is not a real person. She's just a character I put together to help explore these patterns. And also, I am not a psychologist, obviously, at least not yet. And these are just opinions, my opinions. I enjoy contradictions and I love exploring patterns, the things that we do that don't always make sense on the surface. So yeah, these are just reflections. Take what you need and leave the rest. On this episode, we're trying to understand Erica, a 27-year-old woman who keeps finding herself in the same place, relationship after relationship. And we're not here to judge her. We're here to pay attention to what keeps happening and maybe try to understand why. Erica falls in love fast. She's the kind of person who texts back immediately, who says things like, "Oh, I don't do casual," or "I just know when something feels right." The connection always starts strong, long conversations, deep eye contact, intense chemistry. You guys are finishing your sentences and stuff like that. The kind of start that makes you think, oh, maybe this time it's different. And for a little while it is. But then somewhere around the 4th or 5th month, things start to shift. She pulls away. She becomes harder to reach. Little things start to annoy her. The closeness that once felt exciting now feels heavy. Eventually she leaves. She ghosts whoever she's been talking to. Sometimes without warning, but the pattern repeats every time. "I don't know what happens," she says. "I just stop feeling it. Like a switch flips. One day I'm all in, the next day I'm looking for the exit." Erica is starting to get frustrated. She's tired of how easily she disconnects. It's beginning to feel like she's broken or like something in her is wired wrong. Now, if you ask her about her childhood, there's no tragic story there. Her parents were around, her home was stable. She even says she was lucky, and in many ways she was. Her mom was kind, not overly affectionate, but caring. The type of person who showed love through doing, acts of service. She packed the lunches, she did the quick check-ins, she kept things running in the house. Her dad worked a lot. It wasn't cold, just somewhere else. Always tired, always in his own world. Erica was the easy child, the one who didn't cause trouble, the one who figured things out on her own. She learned early how to calm herself down, how to be okay with not being comforted, how to keep things to herself. Not because anyone told her to, but because no one really asked. Feelings were not denied per se in the house. They just didn't have much of a place. She just wasn't really seen, if you know what I mean. So over time, she started to wear her independence like armor. People praised her for being strong, for being chill, for not needing much. And she liked that. She took pride in being the one who didn't fall apart. But somewhere along the way, not needing much turned into not letting people in. Erica thinks she's just hard to please, or maybe too picky. But that doesn't explain the emotional shut-off. I mean, the way she can go from picturing a future with someone to feeling nothing at all, it's quite unsettling in a way. The truth is, a lot is going on beneath what looks like boredom. What's happening here often lines up with something called avoidant attachment. To explain it in simple terms, it's when you want connection, but deep down, closeness feels unsafe. It's not that you dislike intimacy, it's that a certain level of emotional exposure sets off alarms you might not even realize are there. In the early stages of dating, though, those alarms stay quiet. The other person is still at a distance, and you're still deciding how much of yourself to reveal. There's no real risk yet, because the connection hasn't crossed into the territory where they might see the unpolished, unfiltered parts of you. That's when someone like Erica can lean in all the way. The constant texting, the late night calls, the "I've never felt this way before" energy. It's closeness, but on our terms. But there's also something else happening at this stage. You see, Erica's avoidance runs alongside a different engine. She needs an emotional high at the start, not just to feel good, but to anchor herself in a relationship before the doubts creep in. It's a way of buying time, if you know what I mean. So she needs you to look at her a certain way. She needs you to be impressed, to be captivated, to be completely bought in. Because as long as you see her like that, she doesn't have to worry about you seeing anything else. And that's kind of like what new relationships feel like for a lot of people, isn't it? It's a lot of hiding. You're presenting a version of yourself you hope they'll like. You're testing the waters before deciding if it's safe to show more. The difference with Erica is she never really gets past this stage. For her, the hiding is the whole point. She doesn't want you to see her when she's uncertain or needy or unremarkable. The early stage is perfect for her because she can keep you looking at the highlights. But where things start to get weird is when there's a shift in the power dynamic. In the beginning, she controls the pace and the tone. She decides how much of herself you get. But the moment the other person starts asking for something she hasn't offered yet, more time, more consistency, more emotional availability, that's when the pullback begins. It's not dramatic. She doesn't start fights or anything like that. She doesn't announce that she's done. It's subtle. She starts taking longer to reply. She stops volunteering details about her day. Plans become vague. This is what's known as emotional cutoff. Creating distance before anyone else gets the chance to close the gap. Sometimes you do it by subtly reframing the other person as too much. Maybe they are suddenly clingy or demanding or overly sensitive. That way, she can justify her retreat without feeling like the one who broke the connection. Other times, she'll keep a few emotional outs ready, like old flings, casual friends, or solo plans that make her feel self-contained. So she's never entirely dependent on the person she's with. To the other person, it looks like she lost interest overnight. But for Erica, it's about safety. If she senses she might be fully seen and maybe even rejected, she would rather disappear on her terms than stay and risk finding out. We keep circling around the same theme here, which is shame. You see, as a kid, she was praised for being independent. But that was mostly because she didn't make demands or express too much. So now, when a partner wants more from her, she feels a flash of disgust. It reminds her of the times she reached out as a kid but was left hanging. She cringes at their need, but what she's really reacting to is the same need in herself, the part she's worked hard to hide, and if she's been honest, the part she despises. You see, ghosting becomes the cleanest way to push that part of herself and the person holding up the mirror out of view. The rationalization she tells herself stays intact. She's independent, she's in control, and walking away was the smart thing to do. One more thing that makes this cycle so sticky is, you see, avoidant types like Erica often end up with people on the other end of the spectrum, which is the anxiously attached. It's not random. The anxious partner craves closeness, the avoidant partner resists it. You see, that push and pull creates a chemistry that feels electric, even addictive, especially in the beginning. For the anxious one, every bit of distance becomes like a challenge to close the gap. For the avoidant, every attempt at closeness confirms the urge to pull away. It's like a dog chasing its tail. You know how people say opposite attracts, right? Well, this one is one of those classic cases, just not in a good way. You see, the anxious partner gets stuck chasing, the avoidant gets stuck retreating, and both end up locked inside their attachment bubbles. It's one of those things that once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere. What's even more interesting is how avoidants rarely end up with securely attached partners. You see, a secure partner, someone who is comfortable with both intimacy and independence, is not going to tolerate the back and forth. If they sense emotional distance or constant withdrawal, they'll name it, they'll set boundaries, and eventually walk away. You see, for them, stability is non-negotiable. That's why avoidants often never even get far with secure partners. You see, the dance falls apart before it can begin. I want to turn the mirror outward for a second. Maybe you've been listening to this and thinking, this sounds like me. Now, if that's the case, the first step isn't to promise yourself you stop ghosting people. It's to get curious about what you're actually protecting when you pull away. That means noticing the exact moment you start to feel suffocated or exposed and asking yourself what memory that feeling is attached to. You can't unlearn avoidance overnight, but you can start by pausing before you disappear, sitting in that discomfort for a bit longer than usual. That's where the work begins. Or maybe you've been on the other side of it, dating someone like Erica. If that's the case, here's what I'll say. You do not need to intellectualize it like I'm doing right now. You see, all this stuff I've been talking about, childhood patterns, defense mechanism, blah, blah, blah. I just happen to find this kind of puzzle fun to pull apart. I spend a lot of time thinking about human motivation and why we do what we do. And when I find it interesting enough, I turn it into a podcast episode. But for you, it's not an experiment, it's your life. And if someone keeps you at arm's length, no matter how much you reach for them, you don't need to figure out why. Walk away. It's not your job to fix someone else's avoidant patterns. It's not your responsibility to coerce them into intimacy they are not ready for. Walk away. Protect your energy. Someone who wants to be close to you won't make you beg for it. There are a lot of people out there who identify with Erica's struggles. I hope this episode has brought some form of clarity. I know some people might be like, oh man, it's not that deep, and maybe it isn't. I don't know. I might be overanalyzing, and I'm definitely out of my depth playing armchair psychologist. But I will always try to understand patterns, and I'll always try to read between the lines to really see people. And I mean really see them. Not necessarily from what they say, but more from their actions. As for Erica, I hope she walks through this block. Therapy is a nice start. She seems self-aware enough. And for the rest of you who made it to this point in the episode, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the show and give it a rating. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the show on TikTok also. Links will be in the description. Till next time, stay free.